Hello. I just wanted to share something. Navigating this reality right now for me feels kind of like, well, what I mean by navigating this reality, I mean the one I'm in, where it's so different than the first half of my life. Yeah, where the first half of my life was very much oh gosh, how do we even put it into words? Let's just say, okay, let me just get into what I want to say, how it feels to me right now. Okay, when I was 15 and a half and working on preparing for my driving test, like to get my driver's license, right? And doing all the things, and the vehicle that I had to practice on was a big van. I had a van, I'm trying to remember if I think it was a Dodge Ram, or I don't know, some sort of big van like that, right? This was in the 80s. And I drove that van. That's what I learned on. I took driver's ed and I did driver's training in a car. But like all my practice hours were in this van that we had. And if you know anything about driving bigger vehicles, it's different than driving smaller vehicles because you have to adjust for the size, right? Okay, so when I went to the DMV for my driving test this was when I was 16, okay, after all of those weeks and weeks of practicing in the big van. When I went for my driving test, it was in a small car that the DMV provided, or something like that. I mean, I didn't have the van. I didn't take the driving test in the van. I don't know if things were just done differently then. I don't remember. But anyway, I was not in the van when I took the test, and I was used to the van. So it was very foreign to me to be in such a small vehicle. And so I kept oversteering, and I kept I felt like I was driving like I was in a big van, but I was in a small car. And so I took really wide right turns instead of being really close to the curb because I didn't know how to adjust. I do not know how to adjust to the different size vehicle that I was in. And so, I got points taken off for things like that. But anyway, my point is I can drive. I eventually learned how to drive many different size vehicles. Okay. Oh, it took time, right? So yes, the day at the DMV where I spent in a car instead of a van that I had practiced in, it was very awkward, and it was really hard to get my bearings. But I had the basic skills of driving, and so I knew I could do it. I did pass the test, but but yeah, I'm just saying I kept oversteering, and I kept navigating that driving test as if I were in a completely different vehicle than the one I was in. And that is exactly how my life has felt um, over the last, like, especially year and a half, as I've been trying to transition from, this is after what I'm going to call awakening, okay? And deconstructing a lot of things in my life. So my life before all of this was the big, huge van that I knew how to drive. I was good at it. I knew all the turns. I knew how to steer it. I knew how to do all the things. And now I'm in a little vehicle again. I'm in a little vehicle. And I'm talking spirituality. Okay, I'm talking navigating my soul, my journey here on this planet, okay, in this lifetime. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying that I stepped out of that van that I was really sure about and that I knew how to drive almost perfectly, right? Like, really well. I knew how to drive it really well. And then I was put into another vehicle that I was not familiar with, and I had to learn how. I am learning how to drive this new reality vehicle, in my journey of life, and it hasn't been easy. I've done a lot of oversteering and maybe even understeering at times, but mostly oversteering, and trying to marry the ideas of, driving in general, like, but trying to adjust everything so that I can drive more just with more skill, drive with more skill, where I'm not oversteering and I'm not, like, so far away from the curb, like all the things that I was talking about with my actual driving test, when I was 16. So that's what life feels like to me right now, and it has felt like that to me. But I know that I am learning how to drive this new reality vehicle that I'm in, and that I'm gonna become really, really good at it, because I know from my experience with driving vehicles that it takes a little getting used to. When you first start with a new unfamiliar vehicle, especially when it's such a huge size difference, yeah, I know I'm gonna be okay because I got good at driving the smaller vehicles, and I've gone back and forth many times over the years to driving different size vehicles, and I'm able to adjust as if it's no big deal, because my skill level has gotten better. And I know that that's going to be me. That is me, that I am becoming really good at navigating this life and understanding all the little things. I know I'm going to get better at this part of my life. I just know I am. And yeah, I don't know if this is making sense to any of you. It's okay if it doesn't. I just wanted to put that out there. All right. Have a great day.